Well, the weathermen were right. If you watched my last video, I was concerned about a lot of rain and some severe weather. We did not get the severe weather, but we did get a lot of rain. We ended up with about 7 inches exactly in about a 48-hour period. So the sun is back out, thank goodness. So we got lots to do. You may have noticed last video or two where I had dirt on the plastic, you know, where it threw up on the sides and it was still kind of stuck on there, but with all that heavy rain, it washed it all off, so it's nice and shiny black. My little transplants did pretty good. We didn't hardly lose any. Very thankful for that. They've kind of gone through their shock phase, so they ought to kind of be getting out of that and starting to take off. These are the cantaloupes here. We talked about this little rig last year. It's what I use to spray my tomatoes. I call it my tomato sprayer. These booms I have where they can fold up, or you can open them up and lock them in right here with this pin. You know, the purpose of this is to be able to drive over the stakes. You know, if you'll envision a row of tomatoes right here, this is, you know, probably 7 foot tall, way more than it needs to be. We got several nozzles pointed this way, several more pointed this way. So you spray on both sides of the plant, and I can do 1 row on each side of the tractor, so 2 rows at a time. We built this little rig years ago. I've gotten a whole lot of use out of it. Got the roller pump there on the back of the little Kubota. Got my pressure gauges, all that I can see from the seat. And this thing puts out about 100 gallons of water to the acre. So we fog it pretty good. We start out using just probably 2 nozzles on each side of the plant. And then as they get bigger, I've got these plugged off. You know, I can go 3 or 4 on each side of the plant, whatever's necessary. It works really well. And I do use it, like I said, on all the little transplants when they're small, because if you're spraying overhead, you're spraying so much bare ground. And so this kind of just concentrates it right on the plastic. And then once the melons get to running and where I can't drive down between them, that's when I switch over and start spraying overhead. But we use the tomato sprayer here all season long for anything that's got stakes on it, you know, like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, all that, where we can drive right over it. You can see how the boom goes right over the stakes. Both sides. Right now I've got 2 nozzles spraying on each side. Kind of the view from the back. Alright, this morning we've got planting the bell peppers. We're doing them in a double drill, 12 inches apart, you know, this way, but we're doing 1 row on each side of the drip tape. These will be my first bell pepper plantings. We'll come back and plant a second one in maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Also got some eggplant and some jalapenos and cubanella peppers. We'll be planting them this morning too. Eggplant will be on 18 inches and the jalapenos and the cubanelles will be same way as the bell peppers, double drill, 12 inches. out fungicide and insecticide. This will be the first application. We'll do it every 7 to 10 days throughout the whole season. The only real disadvantage about this little rig that I have is it does not have a cab on it. So I have to watch the wind so it doesn't get on me. You know, my rows run north and south. So if I've got a north or south wind that's blowing back on me, then I just spray in one direction. If you've got a crosswind, then it doesn't matter. Most of the time I'm out here at daylight when there is no wind, but sometimes it will pick up, and so I do have to deadhead back a little bit. It's not that big a deal. If I ever had a little tractor, a little small one like this with a cab on it, that would help. But I've always just used this little Kubota. All right, here's an update on the second corn. You can see it's about 2 inches tall. Got good singulation on the seed, and they're about 7 inches apart. They're coming up good. We'll plant the third corn maybe today's Saturday, maybe middle of next week or so, something like that. First corn, which is over here, you know, it takes longer to come up because it's colder. So we plant the second corn 3 weeks apart from this, and the third one about 2 weeks apart from the second. Do all, we'll get the seed bed prepared and we'll plant right behind it. These will be my first purple hull peas. Planting this first field over the levee, which is back here next to the Oxbow Lake. Okay, we are putting the seed in the hoppers and about ready to head to the field with pea seed, planting my first purple hulls. We've checked the planter out, got it all ready to go. You never really know till you use it for the first time, but hopefully we won't have any trouble today. Okay, you can tell they've got the seed treatment on there. Got it in the hopper ready to go. Alright, we got seed going in the ground. Everything looks pretty good. Alright, I think we're ready to give it a try. Alright, this here's my monitor for my planter. Lets me know everything is working on each row. If something breaks or chain breaks or something gets stopped up, it'll let me know whenever the seed stops dropping. This will be the first of either 7 or 8 plantings of peas. We'll do them about every 10 days, give or take a little. Of course, we have to work around the, you know, if it's wet or not too. We'll do 7 or 8 purple hull plantings, and we'll do about 2 plantings of zipper cream crowders. We'll do that beside the purple hulls on the second planting and probably the 4th. So Quick Picks is the variety, pink-eyed purple hulls. Okay, we're done. So I'm gonna go back to the shop and clean out the planter and get the spray tractor mixed up and come back and put out our Preemerge. All right, we're putting out the Preemerge herbicide now, and what that means is you're putting out a residual type herbicide that will keep the weeds from coming up. The field is clean, so it just needs kind of a protection layer, and that's what that Preemerge herbicide does. It doesn't last the whole season, but if it gets activated good, it'll last a while. It needs to be activated by moisture, which is either a rain or irrigation. So hopefully we'll get a rain maybe towards the end of this week, enough to activate it. It'll sit here for a while, but after a week, if it doesn't get any rain, it will maybe start to break down a little, and eventually it'll go away if you never got any rain on it. So we're always trying to plan the Preemerge applications around when we think, a rain may be coming. So sometimes you don't have a choice. You just got to put it out if it's time and hope you get a rain. You can, incorporate it mechanically with tillage, but on this type of deal, the top of the row is where we want to keep the chemicals. I mean, we can plow the peas, and we will later. So you cannot incorporate it on top of the row. So that's where you got to have a rain to activate it. Well, the first field is in the books. We got it planted, got it sprayed. From here on out, we'll just keep it clean, cultivate it, and spray for insects. And this first piece should be ready, if we don't have any problems, probably the 15th to the 20th of June, something like that. What I'm doing now is getting the last sweet corn planted. This will be my third planting. We're doing it with my little 1-row vacuum planter. We'll get it planted and get my Preemerge herbicide out today. And my plan is hopefully tomorrow get it all fertilized. And we'll be done with that. Won't have to do anything but maybe cultivate it, and irrigate it. And the corn is usually ready around the 10th of June, give or take a little. And my 3 plantings will usually last me about a month of harvesting. Just a reminder, that beeping you're hearing is my monitor letting me know everything is working. Yesterday, the guys got the first yellow watermelons transplanted on the plastic. This is the first year that I split them up on the plastic. I usually have just had one planting, so this will spread them out a little. We divided it up in half, so that'll make the yellows last a little bit longer, I hope, in the summer. Still got the stakes to finish up today. We getting the first tomatoes, the eggplant, and the first peppers all staked. After lunch, I'm going to start cleaning up a little bit between the plastic rows to get ready to put out some herbicide on that, hopefully in the next couple of days. All right, it's kind of windy outside for you to hear me, so I'm gonna kind of tell you, and then I'm gonna get out and show you. We're staking the peppers over there, the short stakes. Remember, we've got the double drilled. We got the stakes alternated. And then on the tomatoes, we have one stake between every 2 plants. And we use metal stakes on everything. I used to use wood stakes years ago, and they break and they fall over, and Metal stakes are better. They last forever, and they're not going to fall over either. And of course they don't break. So we've cut the T-posts like in half for the pepper stakes, and then on the tomato stakes we use, I've got about half rebar and half sucker rod, which is not a whole lot of difference. We put these T-posts on the end of the row on the tomatoes to tie it off, and then we'll put another T-post about every 100 feet or so, just to stabilize it a little more when we're tying the string. A little update in the greenhouse. We got the second round of everything planted during that heavy rain, and it's all either up or coming up. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Got okra here, yellow watermelons, cantaloupes. These are all red watermelons. You can see they're either up or about to be up. And then that's my last tomatoes down there. We'll plant them maybe next week. Everything in here that's not tomatoes will get transplanted in the field sometime around the end of April and 1st of May. Tomatoes will go in, like I said, next week, which will be about a week before all this. Okay, I've got my red plow, that's what I call it, my red plow, that plows right between the rows of plastic. So we're going to get everything worked up there in the middles, and then I will come back within the next day or two, hopefully, and put out some Preemerge herbicide with my hood that fits right in between the plastic also. This plow and the tractor are the same width as far as the wheel tracks, so it fits just perfect right down between the plastic rows. You can see it just leaves a tiny little strip on the side, and we'll usually hoe that one time, like right before the vines start running off the plastic. On the tomatoes and the peppers and that kind of stuff, we'll hoe it several times because they don't ever really get off the plastic. Hey, another reason that I need to plow the middles is this ground is sandy loam, and when you get a hard packing rain, you know, it seals it over. Like all this has been sealed over the ground. It's just kind of flat and packed down and hard. And when the sun comes out and it gets windy, after it's dried to a certain point, it'll start blowing. Little sand particles right on the top will start blowing, even though there's lots of moisture once you break the ground. See over here, you can tell by the color difference how much moisture's in the ground. So that's another reason why I keep these middles plowed as long as I can, mixed in with some herbicide applications, because it, you know, it would blow sand on those little plants to death if you didn't. Now once the plants get bigger and we get later in the season where the wind is usually not much of an issue, then it doesn't become a problem. So usually once we hit May or mid-May, then that thread is usually gone. Okay, we got finished, and I guess we're gonna call it a day. Probably gonna end the video here. I don't like the videos to be too long, so we'll get started back tomorrow. I'm doing some more stuff, and I usually kind of like to end the videos at the end of the week, but we're right in the middle. But we're gonna end it. I appreciate y'all watching. Subscribe to us. We would like for you to do that. I hope you're finding this interesting and following the crops along and see how they progress throughout the year. So anyway, see y'all next time. Thanks.